Welcome to step 2, considering the importance of key elements. Let's address what key elements you should be considering when looking at the various articles. Firstly, you'll have to ascertain the text type utilised by the writer. You'll also have to be able to identify the tone and the way the tone helps build the arguments. You'll also have to address tonal shift. You'll also have to look at the purpose. What is the writer's overall persuasive intent? Why are they writing this piece? You'll also have to consider who is the intended audience, thinking about the various stakeholders in this issue and who this writer is really focusing on. Lastly, if there is a visual included, you will have to analyse this and look at why this has been included. Let's talk about text type. There are various media text types that you may be asked to analyse. These include a feature article, an opinion piece, a letter to the editor, an editorial, a speech or a blog, just to name a few. If you look at the background information provided, generally it may tell you what text type is being used. You should familiarise yourself with the features of these types of writings to make it easier for you to identify them. In addition, you'll have to talk about tone and tonal shift. Tone or the feeling of a piece of writing. It reflects the writer's attitude and their emotions towards the topic or the audience. A useful way to consider tone is to ask yourself, how would it sound if it were read aloud? Attached is a video that looks at tones in writing. There are some really great PowerPoints in this video that show you different tonal words. You should be beginning to expand your vocabulary in relation to tone. There's no one tone word that describes a piece. The wider your vocabulary is, the more accurately you'll be able to discuss tone. Included are also some sentence starters to assist you. These sentence starters are also in your OneNote. You want to avoid simply stating, the tone is. You could use something like the author's tone of whatever it is and what it elicits from the writer. You need to make sure that you are embedding this throughout your piece. What about purpose and audience? Now, the audience refers to anyone reading, viewing, or listening to a persuasive text. However, the writer will always have in mind a particular audience. It is never just the general Australian public. You need to consider, who are they targeting? Why are they targeting them? For example, in the issue of youth conscription, teens and their parents are key stakeholders in the issue of youth conscription. Now, some of these pieces are also geared towards politicians or people from the government in key decision-making positions. So you have to think carefully, who are the stakeholders and why are particular stakeholders targeted? The writer will also have a clear purpose in mind. You should always consider the writer's authorial intent. Are they trying to inform the audience about something? Are they trying to encourage them to act on something? Are they trying to convince them to do something or feel something? This is at the very heart of argument analysis. It's important you are able to identify the writer's overall purpose in writing this piece. Lastly, analysing the visual. A visual can contain photographs, cartoons, logos, graphs, charts, and tables. You must include an analysis of the visual. Notice how I said an analysis. You can't simply mention that there is a visual. It's important to link the visual to one of the writer's arguments, because this visual has been selected for a reason. To deepen your analysis, you can consider the colours being used, the background and the foreground, the captions. What are the key things in the picture? To further your point, you should ask yourself, does the image support or contradict the argument put forward by the writer? And also, how does the image convey a point of view? What are the key elements that showcase this? How does it bolster the overall contention or any of the surrounding points? There's a list of language below to help you discuss the image. Does it support? Does it consolidate? Does it raise questions? Again, simply stating there is a visual is not enough. You must consider how is it being used and overall, how does it bolster the argument?